in former Signals Bureau boss trial.
A lot later, stakeholders in education demand more clarity as government moves to extend free SHS to private schools.
Plus, online drivers in the Ashanti region threaten strike over security attacks and high commissions. Well, those are the big stories. It's News Central here on TV3. I'm Kemini Amanor.
And I am Mawuena Egbeta. The bulletin starts right now.
Now, the Accra High Court is today hearing two high-profile cases involving the former director of the National Service Authority and her deputy charged with multiple counts of stealing and causing financial loss to the state. The other case is in respect of former Director General of the National Signals Bureau, who together with three others also face multiple counts, including stealing, money laundering, willfully causing financial loss to the state, and abuse of public office. Already, we're hearing the court has dismissed his appeal to halt the trial pending an appeal. Well, let's cross over now to our court correspondent, Lord Eduasare, who's been sitting through proceedings today. Lord, good afternoon to you. Have those hearings happened? What took place?
Right, Kemini. So as we speak, the former director and his assistant, Mr. Wari and Asibe Angie, are yet to appear before the High Court. We are currently waiting because we've gotten the notification that they are on their way. In fact, the prosecution have started moving towards the various courtrooms where their case will be heard. They're actually going to be heard in two separate courts. There's a court, criminal court 4 and then criminal court 5, but because their cases are being heard separately. Now, the case ongoing right now is that of the National Signals Bureau former director, Mawuena Egbeta. I indicated earlier on that the third accused in the matter, Mildred Donko, she has been discharged. But before that could even take place, you recall that at the last agenda, the court was set to make its ruling on an application to stay proceedings by lawyers of Mawuena Egbeta. Now, what happened was that at the last agendas, Mawuena Egbeta's lawyers, led by lawyer Atachia, filed an application for the prosecution to disclose certain documents that they described as exculpatory. But that was dismissed by the High Court. Now, in relation to that, they filed an appeal to challenge that decision by the High Court. And once that has not been heard, they filed application to stay proceedings, for which reason we're here in court today, and that was dismissed as the first business of the day, for which reason the hearing continued. Now, even before the discharge took place, lawyer Atachia objected vehemently to the notice of discontinuation by the prosecution against or for Mildred Donko. His argument was that the prosecution, led by the Deputy Attorney General, Dr. Justice Remsai, should have, as they were, filed a motion and not just filed a notice of discontinuation, indicating that because of the manner in which they are described Mildred Donko, they couldn't just come and make an oral application to say we are discontinuing the case. They should have filed a motion, for which reason the court would have granted, and then they can file the witness statement for her. Now, the judge in the matter, Justice Nyudunyante, he indicated that he actually saw that notice of discontinuation dropping all the charges against Mildred yesterday on social media, even before he came to court today. So he had somewhat an idea about what to expect today. He indicated that the Attorney General had a prerogative to, in his power, choose who to prosecute or otherwise. And so it cannot be the case that what the argument that the attachment was making, that the prosecution should file a motion, will hold. And so he dismissed that objection and then discharged Mildred Donko. And so as we speak, the second prosecution witness, director of the National Signals Bureau, she is tendering in her witness statements right now, after which we would proceed to go to either the Criminal Court 4 or Criminal Court 5, where we are expecting that Osiasibe Entry, the former director of the National Service Authority, and then Ito Owari, the former deputy director, their trial or their case will be heard. We are expecting that, if anything at all, they are pleased for the charges, the various charges that have been proffered against them will be heard, and then we take it on from there, Kemini.
Well, very well, Lord. We'll leave it here for now. Thank you so much for talking to us. Lord Eduasare is our court correspondent, bringing us that report from the courts, really. Now, we also know that, as you may have heard from Lord, the High Court has discharged the third accused in the Kwabena Edubuahin case, Mildred Donko, after the Attorney General filed a notice to discontinue her prosecution. Donko was a director of Advantage Solutions Limited and was facing charges of conspiracy to commit money laundering and money laundering. Elikim Agbamava is lead counsel for the third accused.
Grateful to the court, for discharging my client. Generally, upon receiving a brief, I always believe that there was a total lack of mens rea, to commit a crime. So what has happened is really in line with our thinking, and we'll go back home and take it all in and see what we do next, right?
Right, but if you look at the charge sheet, count 10 and 11 has been listed, money laundering and then
yes.
Conspiracy to commit money laundering.
Yes.
How does that affect everything?
It doesn't, because there are also other charges relating to the crime of stealing, and if you see, my client was not mentioned as being part of the crime of stealing. Her name only appears in count, I think 11 or 12 or so.
10, 11.
10, 11, yes. So it's pretty clear that in terms of the formation of whatever has gone wrong, she was not part of that conclave, to decide on anything, So that's all I say.
On a personal note, does this burn the bridge or affect the relationship between the first and second accused and then your clients?
Well, I would leave that to my clients. They knew each other before me, so I wouldn't want to get involved. My work does not extend to that.
Let's move away from that to education now, because government will not cover fees for at least 25,000 students who are now enrolled in private SHS through the computerized school placement system. Instead, the state says it will pay an annual stipend of 940 40 cedis for each student. Minister for Education Haruna Idrisu announced this during the signing of an MOU with leadership of the private schools in Accra.
Signed a memorandum of understanding with the leadership of private senior high schools in Accra.
Vacancies declared by you of the 70 schools that are benefiting from this pilot stands at 70 at 44,000. Government have been able to place at least 25,000 to the private schools. Otherwise, that 25,000 would have been without schools, and that could define a terminal end to the career of many young people, students. So government is committing to provide a stipend of at least 250 Ghana cedis to support the transition of that category of students moving into private schools. That's negotiable we'll still discuss as and when we can help you to up it. We'll be able to do so.
The initiative is part of an effort to eliminate double-track system and make room for more students as private schools offer additional capacity.
Ministry of Education shall not pay tuition fees. That's part of the understanding. I should thank you for that general support to government. Ordinarily, you would have insisted rightly and justifiably that government should pay for tuition. So momentarily, you are not for profit, but for the provision of the public good. I recognize and thank you for that. And then trust me, those of you who impress government in the implementation of this will compensate you with some infrastructure intervention where necessary.
Private school leaders are welcoming the move, saying it recognizes their role in national education delivery. With over 40,000 spaces announced by private schools, more students are expected to benefit in the coming years as government pushes for broader collaboration in education.
Let's stay on the subject a bit longer because we will engage some experts further, but let's listen to the president as he spoke on the NDC's manifesto during the 2024 elections on what the position of the party is in relation to private senior high schools becoming a part of the free SHS policy.
Free SHS is here to stay, but John Mahama is coming to make it better. Within 1 year of my becoming the president, I will abolish the double track. All our children will go to school at the same time. Our children won't come and stay in the house for 3 months. They will go to school at the same time, come to the house at the same time. Our children come and stay. Sometimes the girls get pregnant and then they spoil their education. And so we're going to cancel the double track. We're also adding the private schools. So even if you go to a private school and you're a Ghanaian, you'll also enjoy the free SHS.
And that's the president. And so there are a lot of questions in relation to what is expected or what the promise was, whether or not it was going to cater fully for all the 25,000 students who've now been enrolled in these private senior high schools, and whether or not what the government is seeking to offer is better off in terms of the deal. If, as a parent, your ward ends up at a private senior high school, are you better off having them go to a government school as we know it, where everything is expected to be taken care of, or a private facility where the expectation is that some bits and pieces of it will be subsidized? And that's the question, and that's the thing that's on the minds of quite a number of individuals who are asking the questions. But here's exactly what was captured in the NDC's manifesto as well in relation to this particular promise, even as we work the phone lines to get experts to pick thoughts from on what we know about this. But we know that they said that they will abolish the double track system to restore a stable academic calendar and then extend free SHS to cover students in private senior high schools. And so in clear terms, this is what the NDC manifesto says. There is no detail as to what this covering would be. And so perhaps this is a covering, but is that the understanding the good people of Ghana had with the NDC before going to the polls on December 7, 2024, is a question that remains to be answered. But this is the element of the NDC manifesto which captures this promise, and we've as well heard the president speak to it. We're working the phone lines as and when we get any of these experts. I get the indication we can speak to Dr. Peter Partey-Anti, who's the Executive Director of the Institute for Education Studies, for a bit more on this. We started the conversation with him already on part of some of our broadcasts, but it will be important to follow it through in order to get a proper understanding as to what it is that we're seeing play out in terms of the rollout by the government. Mr. Partey-Anti, I appreciate you joining us again, because I know yesterday we started the conversation with you. And so is there a better understanding now? Because if you read the manifesto promise, they just said they will extend to cover. As to what the cover meant, it wasn't quite stated. Do we have a better understanding now as to what the government is seeking to do with this intervention?
I thank you. Good afternoon to your viewers. Well, the politicians during campaign period, incumbent on them to. I think that it's good that the NDC is seeking to fulfill a promise that they made during the election period. The government wants to senior high school to private schools. It has a lot of implications because from what we have heard from the ministry, it means that a total number of 25,000 students are going to be placed in these private schools, which means that this is a